What's up, gamers? It's your boy Donald here to give you a tutorial on how to make a fucking snake. So let me open a new scene. I'm not gonna save this one. This is my failed attempt at a tutorial because I suck, but we're starting a new one, so it'll be okay. So anyway, so this you see this chain pack here file? This file right here. This file right here. Yep, this one. So this is gonna be the assets folder for our chain pack. So as far like as the asset's concerned, this is where you're getting all your info from. So it's got a couple of prefabs right here to define like links and such. Right here, bam. You see the difference between like each of these is like this is just a box collider. See this right here. That's what sort of sets it apart. There's also this component called a script. I'm not an expert on it, but there should be this script in here somewhere that sort of determines if something's a link or a chain or not. But to create this chain, which is our snake, so I'll just refer to it as a snake from now on. Let me just set up the scene here. Okay, so we got a very large snake body to ground ourselves on. Okay, so to create the snake, you're going to right click here. You're going to go to create 2D object. It's going to be this thing right here, chain 2D. Bam. See, you got your chain right here. There's going to be temp A, temp B. We don't want these. This is basically just temporary sort of like um, coordinates in the scene to give the chain a reference to build off of. But we're going to create two objects. One's going to be named snake head. One's going to be snack butt. We don't want these to parent each other. What we do want to do is to create a game object named snake. So this is what I do to make sure they're all sort of are part of the same object. So that way I can drag it around easily as I parent it to this game object. So what we're going to do is once we have a chain in the system, you see this create settings. This is really important. We're going to have from point A, which is going to be the snake head when we select the object. And then we're going to have point B, which is going to be the snake butt. So to create the rope or the chain or the snake between these 2 points. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go here. This is the other part, this other important part. So there's the chain game mode settings, or the create settings are here. Then there's also these prefabs game chain links. This is going to determine what object is loaded between those 2 points. So if you're curious as to how to create one of these prefabs, I'll get to that in just a sec. What's really important is we just drag the pre-made one over to this part right here. Bam. It's right here. It'll like have a little plus button. Okay. So then we're going to take this head, drag it out over here. So see, it's already creating. But the clones are really big. So what we're going to do is the third important part. So there's the create settings. There's going to be the prefabs chain length. Then we're going to go to scale. So we don't want an auto aspect ratio that's just like preserving this the way the sprite looks already. We're going to shrink the scale X to create more objects in between the 2 points. And then the Y is going to be like how fat the snake is. So if we want really fat, we can do that. But we're going to give them like, sort of like a medium huskiness. And then, so another reason why I create these is to sort of allow for physics associated with it. So that way we can sort of tweak the feel of like moving it around from a player standpoint. So like the snake head will become the player, and then we have the rest of these individual bodies sort of dragging behind it to give a feel of like a snake. So once we're done with that, we're going to drag our script for player input, wherever that is, here we go, over to the snake head. And then, okay, this is really important though. So we're going to modify the mass of the chain, which is down here in chain physics settings. So this is going to change how the snake sort of interacts with the environment as like the body is concerned. The sort of head's another case as far as like player input goes, but we're going to shrink the mass down to specifically 0.001. That's the mass I've sort of figured that works the best. So we hit play, you'll notice that it's stuck. So I was trying to show you guys that. So there's something called body type in Rigid Body 2D components that sort of handle how the object is loaded in the scene. So kinematic sort of preserves the XY position, but with like the ability to sort of hinge down. So if we wanted like a regular rope, what we'd do is we'd sort of, here, let me just shrink this down to sort of show, and then we're going to go to snake head. We're going to switch that to dynamic, so this makes it so that way the X and Y can move according to the physics of the scene, and then you'll notice that it drops down sort of like a rope. Now we got the balls rolling, so we gotta sort of fix that. So what we're gonna do is see that these ball colliders, they have like a tendency to roll as balls do, and so we get that. But we actually we'll need the butt to rotate if we want to make an actual rope. So that should do it. Yeah, so it's not moving anymore, but see how it's stretching out. Kind of what we want to do is that's sort of like the rope's physics at work. So we'll have to like lower the mass down to like, I don't know, like 0.001 if we wanted to like sort of act like a rope, hypothetically. Yeah, see, like that. Okay, cool. So that's a rope. We don't want the mass of the head to be like that. 0.001 or 0.1. We don't want the butt to have a really big mass. So what we're going to do is we're going to freeze the rotation for that. And there should be a mass associated with it. Since it's still kinematic, it doesn't have any physics associated with it. Okay, so there we go. So we're just going to move that down to 0.001. Bam. And then we're going to stretch out the head again to create a longer form. Okay, so now that we have all that set up, we get the player input, hit play, and that should give us our snake. Okay, it has a tendency to do this. So like you have to watch out for every time it like the rope reloads. So like whenever you do this sort of deal with like the moving the head, it's recreating all these clones over here. And so every time it does that, it loads it with the preload script that the sort of the scripting allows, like that as creates it with, and it makes them all have one mass, which as you like sort of crawl over yourself, like the mass accumulates as you try to move, and so then you can't move eventually. So that's why I was like sort of doing that sort of like halfway stop moving. See, now it's fine. Cool. You might notice that it's sort of like all touching each other. What you're going to want to do is enable collision. That should let it sort of be a little bit more rigid as far as like movement's concerned. That's not really what we're looking for. Well, maybe it is. Should be fine. Makes it a little bit more wormy, but what we're really looking for is taking all these rectangle clones, going to angle limits. We're going to use limits, and then we're going to take the lower angle. We're going to make it 20. Sorry, negative 20. It's weird. It like goes up for negative, and then for the upper limit, it's going to be 20. That's going to restrict sort of like how it moves. It's a little bit more like springy and like a little bit less like sort of twisty in and itself. So yeah, like if I like crawl off the edge, it's not gonna like fall off immediately. It's gonna sort of like accumulate. I can do that. So the 0.001 mass is really important because like the mass associated over here versus over here, so that way you don't like drag yourself off and it's not really annoying. But if we wanted to add that, we'd just increase the mass of the body. Yep, okay, that's how you do it. So as far as creating the prefabs for like creating one of these, what you're gonna want to do is just go to create. We're gonna do sprite. We're gonna make let's do, I don't know, a hexagon. I don't know. Really label that snake body. I'll just make a hexagon. Okay. Then we're going to drag it into the scene because we got to create a prefab for it. Maybe if it'll go in. Can I get it? Can I get a sprite, please? Drag that baby over there. Add component. We're gonna give it a polygon collider. I'm just gonna drag it in the corner. We don't really need it. We just need to make it into a prefab. So we're gonna create prefab, wherever that is. Snake piece. Then we're going to drag the snake body with its polygon collider into the snake piece. It's going to load it with the sprite. Then we're going to go to the chain. We're going to go to where we selected prefabs before, and we're going to give it a snake piece prefab. You see how it's all small right now? It's because when we created the chain and we messed with all the aspect ratios, it sort of changed that. So we'll have to that should fix it. Maybe. That worked before. I created this one. Anyway, hypothetically, it's supposed to let you create a prefab like this diamond that I made in my last video that I deleted and put it. I think it's because I'm just gonna like here. Let's just drag a new one in. That's really confusing. I'm so sorry. Maybe just go. Oh, here it is. Blah. Oh my god. There. So it's supposed to do that. I don't know why I didn't with that, but so you just put the polygon collider on it, make a prefab for it, drag it in. Let's try doing that again actually with the snake piece. Maybe I just did it wrong. Add it. Delete that. Reload. Okay, I don't know what I did differently with this, but that's not working, so we're going to just delete it. Let's try it again with this. Here. Create prefab. Just ignore everything I just did up until that point, and we'll just start over. The hexagon. So we got that. This boy in the scene. This is the prefab. Yeah, this is right. Just drag that in there. Give it the polygon collider again. And go to our prefab. there. That should have made it. So it's the exact same way I did it before. And then we're going to drag him into this biz. Okay, there it goes. Maybe? Hello? Yeah, okay, there it goes. Oh my god, that was weird. I'll just, yeah, so, there. So we just got a block of, like, little nerds. Okay, I'm just gonna, yep, that's it. Cool. End of video.